There's a very, very good reason why the composition of marketing teams has changed so significantly in the past 10 years, from basically a bunch of dudes to probably most of the most senior marketeers that I know anyway, the CMOs, Christina at Diageo, Connie at Unilever, so many of them are kind of 50 plus females, right? And that's because at a certain point, you either have empathy and give a shit about other people's unsaid but unmet needs, or you don't. In this new marketing model, in this new working with communities and contributing, you either have the I guess it's like the generosity gene, right? You either have it or you don't. And I really mean this with love. If you don't have it, get the fuck out and go and work at McKinsey or something, right? Because marketing is not for you. Like, going forward, if you're not a person who ever thinks, what are the unmet needs of the people in my life and how could I potentially do a little better to meet those needs? Marketing is not for you. And I'm so serious. The people who should be in charge of figuring out what to do once we identify the networks should be designers. And what I mean by that is they need to think like designers, not like marketeers. Because we are no longer crafting a piece of communication. We are designing something that is specifically to meet unmet needs. And I'm not saying you have to solve the problem, but just the act of trying goes a long way. People don't expect perfection, but they do expect some form of pragmatism. You go and speak to the biggest brand purpose companies in the world, Dove, Ben & Jerry's, all the brands that you associate with brand purpose, they don't talk about brand purpose. It's the rest of the pack that talk about brand purpose. They talk about brand contribution. And we are out of the era of brand purpose. That was another Big Five consultancy BS play, right? If your intention is to have a brand purpose, kindly fuck off, right? If your intention is to have a brand contribution, we're all listening. And I'll give you an example. It doesn't have to be huge. I think that the work that Dove has done more recently, just the most recent work, it's so good, it makes me want to, I can't even explain how much respect I have for them, because to use your budget to communicate about something that no brand has taken a side on or taken a point of view on, that is so real. That network is so real, and that problem is so real. And Paul Polman, who was the ex-CEO of Unilever, and I'm proud to say has become a good friend now, he said once to me that, the thing is, you can't just admire a problem that your audience has. And that's what brands do. They go, oh, look, it must be painful for them. Right? If that's the type of person you are, if you're the type of person who can't acknowledge a problem, so here's where we are. If you can't even acknowledge the existence of a group of people, right? So you don't even know that there's a network. You're not even conscious enough of life to know that that's a network. Well, you're fucked, right? Because there's an opportunity in trying to solve that problem that's so huge that you won't even be able. The best work that I've been proud to be part of has been so powerful that we have been desperately trying to get the press to not talk about it because we're not ready, and they're like, no, sorry, we're running the story, right? Like, I'll give you an example. I was with Christina's CMO at Diageo the other day, and we sat next to each other at dinner. She was talking about electronic music. I'm part of that world. She was talking about how that, Absolute, which is their biggest competitor on Smirnoff, have been really doing a great job in that space. And I said, how many festivals do you reckon Smirnoff sponsors in the kind of electronic music space? They're like, maybe like 100 and maybe more, yeah? I'm like, okay, so you're sponsoring, basically what you mean is you're badging and stealing and borrowing equity and awareness from something without really contributing to it. Do you know what I mean? Like, sponsorship is the lowest form of contribution imaginable, because it's basically just badging something, right? You're not really changing anything. In fact, you're making it slightly worse, right? Because it's slightly less respected, right? So I said to Sil, I'd be really interested to do some network analysis on the community there. And in particular, you're looking to go after young females, right? And absolutely. So guess what? We went in, we did the network analysis. Percentage of young females that make up the audience at electronic music clubs and festivals risen massively from like 27% to nearly 54%. So now young ladies in the audience are more numerous than young men, right? Okay. How many DJs on stage are female? 7%. There is no biological, physical reason why an amazingly talented young female shouldn't be on stage DJing to that crowd of 54% females. So we went back to Diageo and Smirnoff and we said, okay, here's what you do. You've got the network, you've got your brand. We went back to what the brand's about. And this is, again, lucky. But when you're looking in the right place, you get lucky quick. When you triple distill a vodka, it's called equalization. Smirnoff is triple distilled vodka. That's its product. That's what it is. It's highly distilled. And when you do that, the technical term for that is equalized. So Smirnoff, equalizing music. We turned around to every single festival, every single club, and said, you make one day, for the clubs, one day of the month, for the festivals, one day of the festival, 50-50 male-female DJs, or we pull the sponsorship. Now, there's an example of something that we were genuinely trying to stop publishers publishing that because we hadn't got the bit of content ready yet. And they were like, no, sorry, we're publishing. So, and then that started this movement. Glastonbury Festival was like, yeah, you know what? We're going to go 50-50 male-female. Primavera Sound in Barcelona said, yeah, we're going to go. So a brand started a movement through networks, because that's what networks do. They spread ideas that went way further than they ever could have imagined before we hadn't even released the content and the communications yet, right? And then the next stage of that, which I think was, really taking it to the next level, was realizing that the algorithm, and here's the thing, once you exist to solve a problem and you actually have the contribution mindset, you can really do a lot, right? So the next step was saying, well, actually the algorithms within YouTube and Spotify, they're the reason why you don't get to hear the female electronic artists, because if you listen to a lot of male artists, the algorithm still feeds you more male artists, right? Because algorithms work like, if you like this, then you'll like that. If this, then that. And so one of the tags within the algorithm is male electronic music. And so you get more male electronic music. So then we invented a new algorithm, which was the first ever Spotify premium integration, right? Not in the ad system. It wasn't an ad on Spotify. It was a button, a plugin on Spotify premium, right? This is not advertising anymore. This is actual culture. And it was a button that you could press and equalize any playlist 50-50 male-female. And so now we're reaching billions of people with that idea. So I would just say, in long answer to your question, the intent to contribute and just try and make things a little bit better in that network.